Hi, my name is Nicole Miller, and I was just interviewed by Keith Andrew. He's doing a great job at the Keith Andrew Network. I'm very proud of everything he's doing.
For people who want to know what is the Keith Andrew Network, the whole point of my talk show is to show you that even with having a learning disability, I can still amount to something. And at the same time, I'm able to turn myself into an example for people out there dealing with any types of learning disabilities and disabilities to never give up and prove people wrong. Prove to them that labels do not dictate who you are and who you're going to be. So prove to them and stand out to something. So hashtag break the labels. That being said, 26 minutes of your time, freedom of speech, self-expressing. You know, I've been fighting with the keep it PG, keep it PG-13, but you know what? Let's have fun with it. It's uncensored. The main focus of the show is professionally, of course, is how I'm dressed, but I want the guests to express themselves. So yes, it's anywhere from PG all the way up to PG-13, but that's completely up to you. But I just want to get that out of the way. So the first question I want to ask you is tell our audience a little bit about your background and how you came to do what you do now.
Hi, everybody. My name is Nicole Miller, and I am a comedian here out of Tulsa, Oklahoma. I started doing improv comedy with a theater background, and it just kind of evolved into wanting to do more comedy. And I guess I should introduce this person. This is my act right here. He doesn't perform with me. I just mostly am inspired by my son, JJ. He's just a character. So he's going to be here with us today too.
Absolutely. It's more than welcome. And you know, it's funny. You can always just throw it out there. You can always use JJ as a prop. You know, there's actually this comedian. I don't know if you know Nikki something. It's like Nina. Her thing is she invites people to be on her show, and it's like, oh, all you have to do is stand right here, and she puts a mask on. It's just a ventriloquist. So the person would stand there. She puts a fake mouse on, and she just like clicks the button, and she does the voice, and then all you have to do is just stand there. So, but it looks like you're talking, but Edison talking. She's actually from England. She's very talented.
That sounds awesome. I know we should try to do a ventriloquist act, right, JJ? Where you can be the dummy, the make-believe dummy. Just pretend like you're a dummy. It'd be hard because you're so smart, but you can pretend, right?
Well, a lot of people think I'm a dummy, so I guess we're in the same boat on that one.
No one thinks you're a dummy. No dummy could do however many talk shows you've done.
You know, it's funny you should mention that. People like, you say you have a learning, and that one person in my interview is like, you say you have a learning disability, but I don't think there's ever been a talk show host who had a learning disability. Is this a gimmick? Is this something you're looking for sympathy? I'm like, all disabilities, some are mental, some are physical. Just because it's like the big elephant in the room, just because you can't see it doesn't mean it's not there. Or some people are just assholes, you know. But you know, it is what it is. It's you're trying to please a certain amount of viewers, and you're kind of like, it sounds good, but I'm not really sure. Anyway, this is not about me. This is about you. But the point I'm trying to make is never set yourself up to fail. If you're happy, you enjoy what you're doing, you know, if you're a writer, if you're doing this, doing that, as long as you're happy, that's all that matters. And people will get behind you. And if they don't, well, that's their problem. But the question I want to ask you and how that relates to you, you mentioned you are an actress and also you are a comedian. So have you ever had any criticisms about people saying you're not funny, and have you ever been on stage?
Yeah. I'm sure. Well, one thing that is I don't know if this quite answers your question, but one thing people do like to do when you do comedy is come after and give you lots of good tips on jokes and stuff that you can use. And a lot of times it's not very helpful. And yeah, I think a lot of people do think I'm not funny. That's just one of those things when you come out and you say, you know, this is funny and I think it's funny. There's just going to be people who think it's not funny because humor is very subjective. And so I'm working on finding that audience. And there are definitely people who think I'm funny. I've done stand-up for about 3 years, and I wouldn't have kept doing it, I think, if every time I went out there, people were just silent and not laughing, but a lot of people do enjoy it. They do. I'm still trying to figure out the acting portion, though. I do some acting, and I definitely feel like I'm better at comedy. I definitely want to be better at acting, though, because it pays more. It definitely, the pay is better. So working on that.
You would agree, being a comedian, for me, I'm not really funny. I'm more, when I'm sarcastic, it's funny. When I'm funny, it's like, bro, you're really annoying. But when I'm sarcastic, it's like, oh, you're really funny. I'm like, some people say I'm funnier than tits on a bull.
Well, some people are, funny happens when you're just not trying to be funny. So you just got to try, it just happens. So that's why sometimes when you go out and you try to be funny, it's just not.
So my dad always tells me, don't quit my day job. Even though right now is a pandemic, I don't have one. But actually, this next one I want to ask is, how have you been during the pandemic? And do you think, well, let's look at 2 parts. You can do online acting skills and do funny skits and videos online. But during the whole pandemic, do you feel that it's given you a different outlook on life? Obviously, you have kids, and I take my hat off to you. But do you feel that this has given you an opportunity to sit back and refocus on your life?
I do feel like there have been so many positive things that have come out of this for me in particular. And I know a lot of parents hated the distance learning, but I just loved it. I loved having my kids at home. I know that sounds horrible. I loved not having to drive to and from school. I saved hundreds of dollars on gas. And I do feel like we got closer as a family, and we were just forced to spend more time together. So that was nice. And as far as comedy goes, what I did for comedy was just I wrote. I stayed home a lot, and I didn't go out to shows, but I wrote and I listened to professional comedians who had filmed stuff before the pandemic. And I feel like I became a stronger comedian during it somehow. I don't know how. And I watched a lot of films, and I feel like I'm a better actress now, but we'll see. That's yet to be determined. Acting's been great during the pandemic because in Oklahoma, we're open for film, and you have to be tested for COVID, and you have to pass that test to get on that film. And so I've been doing that throughout COVID, but mostly just like non-speaking parts. Because whenever I film an audition, people are just like, nope, she doesn't sound like a human being right now. But I feel like I've been doing lots of auditions, and I'm getting better at it. I feel like I'm getting better. I'm telling myself I'm better, but I don't know if that answered your question. I'm kind of rambling, but
people think I do the same thing for myself. For me, I feel every interview you're getting better. People are like, dude, you did 800 episodes. If you're not an expert on it, it's not going to happen. First off, piss off. And second of all, this is what I want to do for the rest of my life. So, of course, some interviews are going to be really wonderful. Some are like, what the hell am I even watching? But it's a learning process. No one taught me. You know, I bet no one taught you how to be a comedian. You learned it on the go. You
Right.
know,
No,
or
and no.
no, go ahead.
Oh, I was going to say one other thing is because of the pandemic, I was able to do an actual comedy class. I'd never done a stand-up comedy class, and I feel like it just made me such a stronger comedy writer, just being able to, and it was all on Zoom, and I was able to attend every session that way. Even, if you have a little cough or something, like you're not going to go anywhere during the pandemic, but I was able to do that because of Zoom and this because of Zoom. Like, I don't even know where you're located. Like, we're probably in different countries or something.
Well, I'm from New York.
Oh, wow. Yeah. That's a different country because I'm from Oklahoma. So New York, that is a different country.
I think we're close in age. I'm 33.
Oh, wow. Yeah. I just had my birthday yesterday.
Oh, happy birthday.
I turned 40. So I'm pretty old compared to you.
Just a number, does it? What was it? 40 is now the new 30?
It's either the new 60 or the new 20. It just depends on who you talk to. and for me, it depends on the day.
That's true. But hey, look at it like this. When we were kids, we didn't have, Skype and Zoom and all this other stuff. But imagine if we had school. Our parents would probably have to go to school, get to work, come back, give to us, and at the end of the week, hand the work back. Now it's easy. All you have to do is press a button, and that's it.
Yeah.
So in a way, it's kind of good, for this generation. But if we had this and it happened when we were kids, I have no idea.
Yeah, I don't think because we would have somehow had to do it by mail, because I remember being in college right there. It would have been in early 2000s because I am super old. And I did correspondence class and for the summer. And I did because there wasn't online. The internet, I don't think really existed. I remember doing stuff by mail and singing it in the mail. So, can you imagine if we had to do it by mail? I don't know how many kids, like even with it in Zoom, this is what I'm hearing because I also substitute teach, is a lot of the kids were supposed to log in, but they didn't. So even doing it online and how simple that should be, it just didn't happen. So I'm one of the lucky ones who has internet. So my kids didn't get behind.
It's true. Hey, it's a pro and a con. And the internet was started in the 90s, 90 or 93. And, the first thing came out was chat rooms. Even whoever the hell wanted to do that was completely dumb and ignorant on that. But I do miss AIM. And I actually, on my iPad, it's like, a history of what you downloaded over the years. I actually did re-downloaded AIM. See, I know no one uses it anymore. Of course, I don't remember any of the passwords. So it's kind of like, why you want to go digging in the past? You probably not going to like what you say anyway. But, it's kind of like a nostalgia thing. Yeah, I was upset when they got rid of Yahoo Messenger. I'm like, I still use Yahoo. Well, why the hell did you have to do that then?
Yeah. And Yahoo groups. I remember I was in a Yahoo group. I think that left too.
Hey, things was changed with the times, hey, now we have Zoom. It's funny, when I did my show, I actually started with Skype, but now I actually have a actual background. I don't have to decorate my bed anymore. So it actually looks professional, and you can see it through, season 8, season 7, all my different episodes, the process. I'm looking forward to season 10. I have a new introduction all set up. I'm actually doing right now, I'm removing the commercial break period. So it's just a complete 26, 27 minutes straightforward, no more commercial breaks. I may do that, bring it back, but, I'm trying to make it different, make people more interested. But the question I want to ask you now is, disabilities, besides me, obviously, have you ever worked with people with disabilities? And for someone who wants to follow in your footsteps, what would be your words of wisdom?
Yeah, I actually, as a teacher, I'm actually a certified teacher as well. Like that's what I was before stand up. And I did have several students with Down syndrome, Asperger's, all sorts of things, dyslexia, who knows, and maybe even undiagnosed, who knows. And I had a student who had one hand and the other, he was just born with one hand even. So I think when I've worked with students like as a teacher like that, it just going to them and saying, hey, you know, we're doing this thing today in class. You want to participate? Usually they had absolutely no problems participating. I would go, you know, take them aside because I remember the student had one hand and I was concerned because we were tossing a ball and I just didn't know because this is my first time with a one-handed student. Anyways, but I've also seen a lot of stand-up comedians. Some of them can't even stand because they're disabled as far as being in a wheelchair or something. And I would say like you can find a way to use your disability as like your almost like your main like the main part. If you're doing comedy, it could be like the main part of your acting. It could be what makes you stand out from others. It could actually be instead of your disability, I'm looking for a word and I'm so
Gimmick?
sorry I cannot find it. Do you know what I'm trying to say?
You mean gimmick?
Yeah, maybe it could be your gimmick, or it could just be, this is what makes you so much better than everybody else.
So unique.
Yeah, it makes you unique. And so, especially in stand-up, it is an asset. That's probably the word I'm looking for. Like that's going to be what's really going to make you fly. So it should never be something to hold you back, to be like, well, I can't because, and it's like, well, because I have this one thing, you just need to adapt and figure out what is it that you have to do. Because I honestly, there's really nothing that should stand in your way of your dreams, no matter what you're differently able to do.
Yeah, I give you an example. You know, when you do your stand up, you probably have a script. And for me, you know, because I read at a middle school to a high school level, so for me, you have to break it down and explain it
Right.
and give me examples. So I learn at a slower pace. And because of that, people say I'm on the spectrum, but it doesn't mean I can't put my own spin on it. It's like, okay, we're giving you an opportunity. If you can't, what I'm actually good at is improv. So if I watch something and I listen to what someone says and how they're acting, I can just say, okay, when I should act like this in return and make it more funny and spontaneous, and then actually just standing here with a paper in your face going, oh, okay, this line says, I mean, of course you can edit out the paper, but you want it to feel authentic. You want it to feel real. You don't want it to feel forced. And if you feel forced, but it's kind of like, if you're miserable, they're going to be miserable.
Exactly.
But the question I want to ask you now is, what is the biggest change you have made to your acting career?
I know whenever I first started, I was all about theater, and now I've mostly doing film. And unfortunately, right now the roles I'm getting are all like background, where there's no speaking. I'm trying really hard. I've gotten just a handful of speaking. So that's the next hurdles to get more actual speaking roles. And unfortunately, I love theater to death, but just being able to do theater is just so much time that it's just not working out into my schedule. So that's that. I think that's the biggest thing that I've done is to to focus on film. And if you go onto Amazon Prime, there's a film called The Rock and Roll Dreams of Duncan Christopher. And if you fast forward to 45 minutes in, or watch it for 45 minutes in, for like that whole minute at 45 minutes, that 45-minute mark, that's me as a karaoke contestant.
Hey, the cameo's a cameo, you know. But the other thing I want to ask you, because you mentioned you are a teacher, so this one would be actually perfect for you. How comfortable well, let me rephrase that. How comfortable are you speaking and acting in front of a large group?
Oh, yeah, that's kind of how I started, is theater and improv, and that's all live audiences. So that's been years and years and years. Hey, stop that, babe. So yeah, I would have absolutely no problem doing that.
No, my dad's a former assistant principal of 46 years, and he says when he's in the classroom, it's 45 minutes of stand-up. As long as you're keeping the kids entertained, then they're going to learn something. If you're kind of like, one of those teachers who are like deadpan expressions, and you're like watching the paint dry on the wall, but it's going to be 45 minutes of hell. So you need to be funny and not like may tell inappropriate jokes, but make jokes that the more you're entertaining and the more knowledge you're, the more it's going to sink in because you're being entertained. Like, okay, now I know about this. I remember this because, Nicole told me about the funny story or funny skit, and I can remember that. If you're kind of like, oh, well, today in class, we're going to, and you never want to cut your wrist because it's like, you want to have a fun teacher? Hey, then, okay, now we're going to do this. You see the difference between the two teaching styles. It's kind of like, which one it's better for you? But the other one I want to ask is, how can our fans and listeners get in touch with you?
Yeah, a great way to stay in touch would be to like and follow my YouTube comedy page, Nicole Miller Comedy. I also have Nicole Miller Comedy on YouTube. Those are great ways to kind of see some of my stuff and see what I've been up to and keep up with my next step, because I never know. I never know what it's going to be.
That's true, especially with the pandemic firing up, So with that being said, everyone out there, make sure to get vaccinated, stay safe. Use you for a perfect example, if I may. How do you feel about this school year? Are you going to have your JJ go back to school, or do you got to continue with the online learning?
What do you think, JJ? Should you go to school? Yeah, I think we're going to try school. What we've been doing here is the classroom had been really good about letting us know if there was some kind of outbreak, like in somebody's household, and then we would all just kind of quarantine and distance learn for 2 weeks. So I hope they continue that. The kids really have been doing such a good job with masks. I don't know if masks are going to happen this year, but we'll just see. All the kids that I know that have gotten sick have gotten over it real quick, and it really wasn't as bad for their lungs as it was for adults. So I'm just going to hope that's how it is next year too.
No, I agree. In New York City, it's firing up. Personally, I think it should be mandatory, because my dad was supposed to go to a baseball game. And then, one section on the baseball field will be for people who are vaccinated, and the other side of the baseball field will be people who aren't. No, that's great. But what happens if you have to use the bathroom? What happens if you want to get food or whatever? Then yes, you're separated while you watch the game, but you can't really get food because then you have to interact with, and you don't know who really. Yeah, with the Excelsior paths, it's good. You have to prove that you're vaccinated, but I don't know. I just want this whole thing to be over with. But unfortunately, it's firing up. the CD and CDC did a great job of giving people mixed reviews. And I don't know what one side's doing. You know, people say I have a disability, but I can do a better job in both of them. But it's kind of like, I don't understand why now. A lot of people would say for me, I'm the pot calling the kettle black because I don't follow directions. But at the end of the day, look, you want to go to school, you want to live your life. I understand that, but you have to be safe. You have to be smart and just get vaccinated. So you get sick, you get better. But this whole stupid mentality of, I don't know, I don't want to get sick and die. You know, it's just, hey, you can't fix stupid, but you can numb it with a 2x4. But eventually, things will get better and things will go somewhat normal. People are like, you know, you compare this to the Spanish flu. First off, the Spanish flu didn't come from a lab, number one. This came from a lab. And unfortunately, you would think it will die out and get better. Instead, it's getting worse. But, you know, the whole thing, it's not to talk about politics or whatever. But, you know, it's just, I don't know. It doesn't really make a difference. But I do have a couple questions for you off the air, but I will give you an extra 2 minutes. I want you to be brutally honest. When I first approached you to be a guest on my talk show, what made you say yes? And what appealed to you to say yes and be on the show?
Oh, I just, you know, I love the idea that you're out here showing people that there's really no reason not to follow your dream. I love that. No excuses. And I love that. And then I did see some of your YouTube videos, so I knew you were trying your hardest to make it as legit as possible. So, you know, I'm trying to say yes to as many of these opportunities while I am at home more, and because soon I'll hopefully be, you know, out there in the real world, real busy. But we'll see. That's the plan, at least. So that's another reason. It's just I'm trying to make as many contacts as possible right now, do all this staying at home business.
No, completely understand. Now, I do have a couple questions for you off the air. But wrapping up, our fans and listeners can follow you on Instagram. It will be on the bottom of the screen. Make sure to like and subscribe to the Keith Andrew Network. We have over 500 great upcoming contents where we'll be coming to the Keith Andrew Network. Tons of great videos. Make sure to like and subscribe to the Facebook and YouTube. And as I always say to our guests, until we meet again, catch you later.